Welcome back to Fast and Giants. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Welcome back to Fast and Giants, the show where I talk Doctor Who and Star Wars. Well, 2 shows have been and gone, and they've both had a reverse of fortunes at the end. I'm going to start with the Bad Batch and talk about my thoughts and stuff and what I feel the final series can offer. So, take a chill pill, join me, and let's have a relaxing chat. My thoughts overall, it was a lot better than the first series. I enjoyed a lot more episodes. I felt there was more to it, especially with the Bad Batch's getting to the course of the Empire as well. I think it really sets into what has been going on in previous shows, for example, the later trilogies, and of course, and the Snoke situation, and of course Palpatine as well. So I think that's why I think it's very important, this series. I mean, yes, it isn't placed until episode 11, but I think for what it does, it really shows how good it is. With the Bad Batch and the decisions, I love the fact that they have some faults, but they also have like these doubts and also these problems. And I think that's what makes the series so good, because they're not like ordinary people. They're not like the Rebellion. They're not like Rex, but they're different, and they just want what's best. Especially when you look at Hunter's character, and then Echo having different, of course, loyal to Rex. It's important to see all that in this series, and I just think it's done beautiful. Also, there's so many great character work in it overall, and I think that's why I just love it. Looking back now, I felt like it did the job. The job was done, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can do going forward. The character of Turk means a lot to me because I relate to him personally in real life, and I felt like there was this scene in The Crossing that really resonated and made me think about, I'm just like him. He struggles to process emotions, which I do as well, and I sometimes may not feel emotional. Like with Doctor, I may not find a scene emotional, but then again, I might find it later on, like I did with that scene where the Doctor and Yaz have that conversation on the beach. That's what it feels like to me. I felt really happy to be represented in animation. There's a lot of characters who represent me in animation and TV. Tech's story, yes, he had a lot more this series. He really did, and I'm glad that he had a lot more stuff to do. Yes, he had a bit of injury issues at the start, but he still was like the fight, and that's what I like about him. He is loyal to his family, and I think the way he comes across as like, also he's translating, especially when he was on Kashyyyk with the gang, and then helping with his electronics. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm sad that Tech's gone. His death is shocking. I did not expect that coming at all. Tech was the character I didn't expect to get killed off, and his scene where he goes is it's just sad, and thinking about it now makes me feel emotional because I miss him. Personally, I hope they don't do a cop-off, because yes, there's signs it could be cop, but for me, I just feel like Tech's a character I don't want to cop off because his exit was amazing. I really felt it just would be the best thing for the show, and yeah, I just feel that Tech's fate needs to be left alone because it is represented well and it has a good meaning. Echo is another character that stepped up this series. I really enjoyed the fact that it makes more sense that he wanted to do more, and I think that's the most important thing about Echo is the fact that he was a regular clone, and I guess he was just wanting to do more and help us because he escaped, and I like that, and I think that really helped him, especially at the halfway point. I wasn't surprised that he was going to join Rex and the clone resistant thing, but I didn't expect it to be that early, and his leaving makes me emotional because Omega's reaction to losing one, which I'll talk about in a bit, is sad, and Echo tries his best to comfort her, but he still does what he does. He helps try to stay constant. He even saves Gregor, and he's still in touch with Royal Calty. We'll get to her because I think she's amazing, and he's part of that squad to help rescue Crosser. Yes, it doesn't go the way one, and yes, things are bad, but the fact is, now the Bad Batch have him back, but I don't know how long it will be for, to be honest, because you never know. I mean, I don't know what the next series is going to be. I don't know where Echo's situation is, but at the moment he is with the squad, but I'm interested to see what happens next for him, because I don't know if it will be with the gang or he'll be Rex. But I think his story makes more sense, and I'm glad they went for it. I gotta say, Omega is one of the characters that really stands up to me this series, because I actually felt she was well written here. I'm glad that they made her more part of the team. I felt she was a team player. She was useful, and there's just so much I like about her. I personally love her need to help other people, like Gunji, and her friendship with Diana Hazard. Also, I think her tech skills have improved. She's learned to do stuff, impressing Hunter, Tech, and of course being instrumental to Tech's victory. But I've also loved the theme of sadness, separation, grief. She really shows how different she is, just because Omega is used to have said goodbye to clones their friends. So I think it's the first time, personally, she has had to deal with this, and then losing Tech later on. It's just amazing. And that scene with Tech, as I just mentioned, is just so beautiful. And Michelle Ang does a great thing, and a great vocal performance, and great emotions. I felt with the finale, I mean, I don't know. I am still concerned for her character development, but if she is just as she was in this series, I think she will be fine, because I think this, for me, is one of my favourite performances of 2023. Hunter and Wrecker, they weren't used as well as they were the previous series, but they were still iconic, especially when you look at Wrecker being a weapons specialist, and then Hunter still being the dad, but also learning what has made him become the father figure is, and I love that. I love the determination in her face that he's not going to stop until he gets Omega back at the end, because it just feels like that's a father going to protection. It's like Din Djarin when he went to rescue Grogu back in the rescue, and that was a good story. Good story for me. But yeah, it gives you a vibe. And Wrecker, obviously, being moved by Tech's death is just one of those moments where we see the strong men get emotional, and I think it's good to see him be moved, and that he's not just an angry or violent character. He's just the same as us. And I do like the usual times where he ends up disobeying orders because he just wants to do things. He's great. And Hunter having to lead his team and choose what is the best, especially with the Peru situation, I just think that's why I just love this group so much. It's time to talk about Crosshair. Okay, so Crosshair, at the beginning, we see him still, obviously, wanting to obey orders, the same old blah blah thing, but at one point he ends up changing his mind when he realises that what is he doing, and then he ends up being captured because he couldn't do things the right way, and he was exhausted. And has he given up? What is left for Crosshair now? It's interesting to see what they'll do in series 3, because I just don't know what they can do. Basically, I don't know. It's just because he's such a strong and consistent character. I'm like, how can they really end this storyline for him? But what we got was amazing, and I'm interested to see what's next for him. Villains. Okay, so they're having a quite impressive group of villains in this series. We've had, of course, the return of Palpatine himself, and as usual, they've kept it straight to the point with him. They've not changed him. They've kept him very, very similar and very, very primitive, which I really love. Also, we saw Avatar can briefly, and still as good as he is. I think that he wasn't as memorable as his others, but he was used perfectly. Now let's talk about the two main players. Of course, it's Rampart, and he was very manipulative, very, very strong. And that's what made him very strong in the first half, and that's what ended up into his downfall, and I like that. Now let's talk about the newest one, the newest villain on the book. It's Hemlock time! Okay, Royce Hemlock is the newest villain, and he is definitely one of the strongest out there. And I felt he was a very interesting villain. The way he wants to try and help the current Empire situation, and he will not stop at nothing. And especially now he has Omega, which puts him in a good position when you look at the villains, because he's got what he wants. But what can they do next? What is his next step? How can they keep him as strong? Well, I think from what he's done, he's definitely made himself very hated by the community, which is a good thing from the crew. Well done. And I just think he's going to be one of those villains that can stand out. If they can do what they did with Rampart, they can do it again with Hemlock. So it's going to be interesting to see what's next for this guy. It's time to talk about someone who has been judgy but betrayed the Bad Batch all the way back in Plan 99. It's Sid. Now, Sid's one of the characters I think we can see very clearly what her motives are in the series. Money. We saw that with the first series, we saw that now. And the fact she betrays the Bad Batch just to get her money is one of the most shocking stories I've seen. Remember back in Faster that Grint Malegi warned the Bad Batch back. And unfortunately they couldn't do the right thing, and that's what got them in the situation they're in now. But Sid's character is one of the most strongest but most intriguing ones, especially because Rhea Perlman made a very good performance with her vocals. And yeah, I think Sid's still a character that I can't stop feeling that we're all going to complain about, because Sid is bad. I loved the variety of characters we had. We had, of course, Rio Chowchi from the Clone Wars. She was amazing. Love her. Definitely one of the strongest characters to be there. And well performed by Jennifer. Bella Gunn also returned. Seta Pamlo also returned. I love the whole court scenes in that episode, and it's just one of those moments where I'm not the politics fan. I probably could do without politics in TV, but this was brilliantly done. Also, there's also characters like Gunji. I actually was obsessed with Gunji. I just think his story nowadays, it still works, and I can understand his pain and his worry, and it works. And even though he may be different, it works for him. Well, I love Teo, what a legend. Ben Schwartz, legend. Honestly, whenever you get Ben Schwartz in, you get a good story there. And he was hilarious. I say, check him out as John Raphael surfacing in Boxworks, because he is a legend. Also, him and Molly Sofstein, his sister. Right. Oh, I forgot. I know who he is, but But the point is, John Raphael and Mona Lisa. Back to Bad Batch. Okay, so there's also this character in the earlier episode that I think really stands out to me, honestly, and it's of course Romadel. He is a different kind of course, separatist, but he's not a separatist. He is civilian, and he makes that clear. And I kind of like the fact that he makes that very clear. And I like the fact that he bonds with Tech, and Tech is able to inspire him. And that's the thing. It's all about inspiration, support, and help. And some of these characters really deliver in what a show brings. And especially when you're talking about everyone coming together to stop this big enemy that's what makes the show work. I want to talk about Tech's scene with Bobby where he explains why he acts the way he does. And to me, it has a more personal touch for me, and I just felt seen. I felt in my place. I just felt honoured, welcomed, and appreciated and understood. I think when you have a character like Tech, who personally I can relate to, and also there's characters like Rekka, I think he and I are kind of similar as well, you gotta look at the fact that it takes a lot of guts to do a scene like that. And I think, especially when you look at Umge, who hasn't been through stuff, so I guess with the Umge, I think that it's right to be angry, to be upset. I think it's important to see that, especially when she was on Korea, and I guess she didn't want to lose them again, and I think that's the point of view. She's a challenge. I guess she has a connection to these guys, maybe because they're different, but the whole thing works very well. One of the lines that comes across to me, I'll say now. I may process moments and thoughts differently, but it doesn't mean I'm any less than you. It really has that moment. It's a bit cold, but it's honest and sincere, and I think that's what makes a moment a moment. And that scene is a proper emotional moment for me, and I loved it. My favourite episodes of the series has to be The Clone Conspiracy and Truth for Consequences. I think that's one of the strongest two parts out of the three. But to be honest, they were all really good. Racing, Festa was one of my favourites. I love Festa. It's amazing, and Tech being a legend, I love it. Papilio, I think, is a very interesting story. There are some real life themes in there, but it's just done so well and shows what the Bad Batch could have. What else stands out for me? I'm gonna say I like Try, because it just shows the fact that there's still Jedi out there, and the fact that the clones help the lovely, amazing Gunji out is amazing. And Gunji gives Omega some tips, so really amazing. I'm gonna shout out to the Soldier Clone and the Outpost, because I think even though they're not personally my favourites, I still think they do a good job, and I think they still stand out for what they do, and it's just amazing. Okay, I want to talk about the cliffhanger where Emika is revealed to be Omega's sister. Now, if I'm going to be honest, this isn't a good, cliffhanger. If I'm going to be honest, there's nothing there, and I don't know if it's all of a sudden, but it just doesn't work. And I think I'm going to compare this to some other cliffhangers. Okay, let's have a look at Sasha Down's Master Row. To be honest, works. It's not my favourite, but I will say works, and that's what I need to do. The rest song, my favourite first half, emotion, what happened in the second half? Nah. This could work the opposite if they get it right, but at the moment, it's just sad for this finale, which is one of the strongest finales out there, to end up on that. And I think Keisha Castle-Hughes is an amazing actress. There is similarities, of course, both her and Michelle are from New Zealand, so that works in their favour. But there's just nothing else there that can help them out. Once we get Keisha and Michelle voice more, and we'll probably get more of their chemistry, because I think these guys are very talented. I'm pretty sure Jeff and Co have got plans for the characters, but yeah, I just hope they're able to turn around, because this is a strong opportunity, but it just doesn't go anywhere yet. And I think the more time we learn, the better the chances of this doing a lot better. But I gotta give Jeff and Co effort for this, like I said, but just don't rule anything out yet, because I'm pretty sure they've got a plan. Next time is Doctor Who, but with a little twist. I'm going to be discussing, in theme of Doctor Who's theme months on the internet, I want to talk about extended media. So, who's ready to look back at some books and hear my thoughts on them? Let's look back and get bookish with Phasma and Jarens. What did you think about the Bad Batch Series 3? You can comment down below, or you can comment to me at Phasmin22. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you for listening once again. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I'll see you for the next episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Subscribe to Phasmin and stay tuned for more podcasts. See ya!